everyone! It's now time for me to talk about something I've been ready to talk about since October, the Frasier reboot. Or better yet, Frasier 2023, since it's technically not a reboot, it's technically a continuation, but who cares? I have been so excited to talk about the first season of this show since it started airing in October. And what do I think of the show? Well, I'm going to tell you here in the review. So, I'm only going to review Season 1, since it's the only one out, obviously. And if it gets Season 2, I'll probably do this as a yearly December tradition. I'm hoping it gets Season 2. That might spoil on what I think about it, but obviously, I'm a big Frasier fanboy. I love the original, and obviously, I really love the remake, too. Look! I am wearing a Frasier shirt that is from this year. It sounds so surreal to say that this shirt was made this year for a new show. It's unbelievable. I just cannot believe that I can openly say it now. And I'm excited to talk about this. I have been wanting to forever. So let's stop talking and let's get on with it. Because this one makes my heart say, Heidi, Heidi. Okay, I'm sorry for the awful singing, everyone. Let's get things started and let's start talking about it. Frasier, Season 1, reviewed. Let's hit it. Best place to start Frasier 2023 is the story. It's basically a reverse of the 93 Frasier, which is a father and son are trying to reconnect, except this time, Frasier himself is pretty much forcing himself on Freddie and his new lifestyle. So, yeah. This one is kind of different. Instead of the injured dad trying to cope and live with his son and etc., we are kind of getting more of Frasier just bought his way into his son's life and is trying to more or less build a rapport with his son. That's okay. And I kind of get the whole gist of it, that Frasier has all this money now because due to everything that happened in the past, we basically see that he became famous TV star-wise. I guess he actually did go forward into television and was able to do the commercials, have his own talk show, and etc. I'll get to that when we get to the characteristics of each of the cast members. The story itself is kind of a reverse of the original story, except Frasier is the main character this round, reaching out for his son, and the other, Frasier was the main character and was the father, and each other trying to understand each other, and this time he's trying to repair the relationship that he has with Freddie. What do I think of it? Well, Freddie is kind of different in this show, and they recasted him, and I'll get to that when I get to that. The show is basically kind of sugarcoating and building up how great a person Frasier is, which, yeah, he is great, and he's portrayed great yet again. But yeah, and anyhow, Freddie has dropped out of Harvard at this point to become a firefighter while he is living with his best friend's girlfriend named Eve that had a baby. He lost his best friend in a fire. And around the same point, or at least in the same year, he lost his grandfather at the same time. And basically, Freddie, like his father, is trying to help people in that way. I kind of enjoy it. The show does have a very rough start story-wise. I mean, the first couple episodes, yeah, it's like, this plot is really trying to force itself out. And it's really trying to set some old tropes here from the original show. In fact, the writers themselves are known for other shows such as How I Met Your Mother and etc. And you do feel some of the stigma of those shows, of, you know, being in this And it's not terrible, actually. What they have done so far is kind of improve on the How I Met Your Mother formula, thank God. And they try to mix it up with Frasier. Also, yeah, it takes a little while to get going, and it takes a little while for us to get comfortable with the characters, but I digress here. It's worth a watch. I mean, the story is, a little forced. You could see a lot of force going into the point of Frasier and Freddy's relationship, but there are some things that are not really sticking. Like, the main theme of the show is Frasier trying to build rapport with his son, as, his son is now an adult and firefighter, but there are some episodes where the two don't even have scenes together. Like, maybe within a 5-minute scene takes place and then they move on to the next thing, and it just goes straight into Frasier's, what's going on with Frasier in Boston and whatnot. That's okay, I guess, but it kind of gets off course. And this is a very short season. It's only 10 freaking episodes. So you should have used some of these episodes for the characters to get to know one another. But what I gotta say is, the story kind of goes into several different categories at times. And that does sort of hurt it. But it doesn't miss completely. There are some very memorable, funny episodes, like I said, and as the show does go on, it seems to get better. Now, the first 2 episodes are very well done. I will admit that. But then we have some stinkers in episodes 3 and 4 that, But I think most of it, story-wise, tone-wise, it does try to change things up. There is some really good pros, and the good does outweigh the bad here. I think the show really needs to have time to find its footing. But each episode does have something good out of it, and it tries to keep on to the same scope of the story, but it goes off really, really fast. Like, there are just some episodes where Freddy and Frasier will not even be in the same scene. They won't even be talking. Hell, there are some moments where Freddy is just reading a damn book, and that's about it. It goes really off course. I will say the first 2 episodes tries to stay in its category of Frasier trying to bond with Freddy, but it just... It goes kind of off and on, but it does stick to it in the later form of the season. So, what am I going to rate the story as a whole? Well, let's just say, versing it up against Frasier 93, Frasier 93 is a masterpiece show. And I really don't say that lightly. I will not call something a masterpiece unless I find it completely and utterly excellent. I find it in a source of excellence. So, comparing the 93 to the 23 show, God, it's just so weird to say that. It's decent. It's good. The story is good. So, what should I rate it? As the 93 show, hell, I need to do a full review of that too, of each season in general, but, there are other better retrospectives online that, have handled Frasier better than I ever could. And my main focus is on the 23, but comparing it, I'm probably going to give the show, story-wise, a 7 out of 10. It does have moments where it just veers completely off course, and they try to do some clever callbacks, and then they try to do some really out there things, which so does the 93 show. I mean, there are some really whacked out moments in the 93 show, but it works. However, this goes from the verge of the moments that are really whacked out, that are just unbelievably silly, that doesn't work. And like I said, 7 out of 10 is probably the best way to go here. So, I'm gonna give it that. It's still worth a watch. Each episode has something good in it. Let's move on to the cast and the characters. Okay, casting characters. Well, obviously Kelsey Grammer, who I am a big fanboy of, who people have honestly said that I look exactly like and could be his son, which is strange because I don't know. I guess it's my very large, prominent forehead that I have. I'm a huge fan of Kelsey Grammer, and honestly, I am just so glad to see him back portraying Frasier again. And he still got it. I mean, at first, the first maybe couple of moments that he's playing Frasier, there are things that seem just a tad off or off-putting. But once he gets back into the role, he is back, baby. He's golden. You just cannot stop watching him. And some of the moments that he has, going from funny moments to one-liners to everything in it, is just fantastic. In fact, there is a moment in the very first episode of season 1 where he is talking about Martin, and this is at the last portion of the first episode, and you see completely utter raw emotion in his performance. He's on the verge, about ready to cry here. And I think that this is not acting. This is Kelsey Grammer talking about his love for John Mahoney because he looked at him as a father. He's seen him as a father because of Kelsey's backstory. He didn't really know his father that well. And I'm not really going to get into Kelsey Grammer's backstory of life, but his and John Mahoney's connection on and off screen. Allegedly, he called John Mahoney his father, on and off screen. And it's just so heartbreaking to see him get worked up. Every time Martin is mentioned, you could just see the pain and joy in Kelsey's eyes while talking about him. Even if it's a negative moment about Martin's gruff exterior characterization and stuff, whatever works. He's great. Kelsey Grammer has it. He's fantastic. Then we move on to the other cast. And the other cast I call the generic. First off, let's go with Alan. Frasier's best friend that he's known allegedly since childhood. Alan. Alan steals the show. Alan is... People have often compared him to off-brand Niles, and no, I don't see that. Niles, for one, is not an alcoholic. I see him as more a mixture of Gil with a little touch of Niles into it. I mean, this guy constantly drinks. I mean, I know it's a very lowbrow joke and etc. that goes on with this character, but he is just the funniest character other than Frasier on the show. He's great. Every scene he's in, I get a good chuckle. He has some of the best one-liners. I think he really started to shine by episode 4 or 5 when he kind of shined his friendship with Frasier about saying that the two most important things to him are 1, his cat, and 2, Frasier himself. He was Frasier's true friend, and he always has been. And he has just so many shining moments in this that I honestly get a great laugh out of him. I love Alan. I didn't think I was going to fall in love with this character right away, but man, he's no David Hyde Pierce as Niles, but man, he just does his own thing, and he does carry a big portion of the show. Then there are other characters. Let's talk about Freddie. At first, I didn't like Freddie. For one, Freddie's original actor, which, fun fact, Freddie has been recasted several times throughout Cheers and the original show. Anyhow, this version of Freddie is supposed to be the buff, handsome, strong-jawed firefighter hero guy. He's supposed to be very similar to Martin in that term. Originally, he, in the Frasier 93, slash actually more in the mid-2000s. He was recasted in about maybe season 4 or 5 of the original show. Was played by Trevor Einhorn. And Trevor actually did play Freddy quite well. Now he's been recasted with Jack Cutmore Scott, which is just... I just didn't care for his performance at first. He's definitely an off-brand Martin. And yeah, I can really see that. But he does have his own thing. There is something within the Crane men that you guys should be open and privy to. And one of the big things is that a lot of people say, how could a man like Martin be Frasier and Niles' father when they're nothing alike? Well, Frasier gets into a sense of wanting to help people. And psychology, or being a psychiatrist, is a form of wanting to help people. Martin was a police officer who wanted to help people. Niles went into wanting to help people too. Freddy wanted to do more than mentally help people. He wanted to be like his grandfather and physically help people. He wanted to be known to be just like his grandfather, and I kind of get that. But at first, Jack's performance kind of sucks. It's very flat at first, and I don't care for it. But by the end of the season 1, he really nails it down. I really enjoy it, and I kind of am used to the recasting. Trevor Einhorn really would not fit, well, the Freddy that this character is supposed to be. You know, Freddy right now is supposed to be more like Martin, and he's supposed to be tough, young, kind of heroic, has a nice physique. Trevor honestly does not have those things, and I kind of understand the recasting. Finally, when Jack finally gets his acting in place, he can do a really good, convincing job at playing this character. And I really enjoy it. It's done quite well. I'm really impressed with how well that he was able to kind of get the show off. Now, let's move on to a character that I am reluctant to talk about. Eve, Freddy's roommate at first. Now, I think I made it to no secret on X or Twitter or whatever the hell you call it, or on Facebook, that I am not a fan of Eve. Oh Lord. Mainly it's the actress's fault, maybe not, I don't know. This one to me, it's not good. It's not a good performance at all. Her delivery is terrible. She's horrible. Every scene she's in, it just makes me cringe. I kind of just tense up really badly when she's on screen. And it's like, oh, good God. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make her similar to Daphne and eccentric like Daphne. But good God, they missed the mark. Jane Leeves was magical as Daphne. This girl, she just doesn't have it. And apparently, she doesn't seem like somebody coping with loss that lost somebody important to her. And that's where my complaints with her come in. She's awful cheery for somebody who just lost the love of her life in a fire. And I don't know how long it's been. I guess it's been a year or a few months, but I would not be this cheery if I had lost somebody so close to me. I would be devastated. I get that she's a new mom and she has to put on a brave face for whatever, but there's just something about this performance that I cannot stand. Oh, God. I just cringe when I see her. Every time she has scenes, it makes me just... Oh, my God. It's like watching Martin Short play Clifford, but delivering the lines badly. At least that, a 40-year-old man playing a 10-year-old boy is more believable than her just losing her husband. She's an awful cheery person. I mean, I'm on the verge of thinking maybe she set the fire and killed her love of her life. That's how I feel. She's awfully way too cheery. And even at the end of the season, they try to make her have this arc where she's going through depression. And I already know what they're going to do here. They're going to have her get with Freddy. That's what's going to happen here. They're going to have her get with Freddy, and it's just going to be one of those moments to where, good God, I've seen this coming from a mile away. I'm sorry. I will try to say some positive things about Eve. Her performance gets a tad better as the show goes on. And I say that very lightly. There are moments where she talks about feeling sad and etc. And you get it. It's fine. I can stomach her at least by the end of the season, but I really hope that the show doesn't go into the entire detail of saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm in love with you, Eve. I always have been. And they've already done an episode where it seems like the two has chemistry, but honestly, her bad acting just does not fucking sell this thing. It is just awful. And I'm trying to be nice. I know she's sort of a new actress and etc. But good God, people. Could you not have gotten a better actress to play this job? I mean, good Lord. I know a lot of people seem to really like her performance, but it just wasn't for me. Moving onward to another character people really don't seem to like is Olivia. The character who is basically in charge of Harvard. She's Frasier's new boss, and she runs the Harvard school. And a lot of people call her generic Roz. And they say her performance is bad. Personally, I actually like Olivia. I think she's funny. She has some of the best one-liners in the show, and I cracked up at some of her jokes in the first episode. A no is just a yes disguised in a trench coat kind of makes me laugh a little bit, and I don't know why. It seems like, yeah. Now, she does do sort of this creepy thing where she hits on Freddy and she's like twice his age, but I kind of like her story. I don't see her as discount Roz at all. I see her more as she's just a little eccentric and a little strange. And they even have her with a rivalry with her sister, just kind of like the Frasier-Niles rivalry. I don't know. I like her. I kind of enjoy seeing her. And I noticed in season 1, they kind of cut her screen time due to fans sort of having a reaction to her. Me, I think she's great. She's funny, and I do hope we see more of her. In fact, she gets with one of the other characters in the show I wasn't expecting her to get with, and I give it a plus. It was funny. She was great, and she has some of the best lines in the show. I really enjoy Olivia, and her portrayal is great too. Makes up for Eve's performance by a mile. She's part of the reason I can stomach the show. Now, she's no Alan, but she is funny, and she is great. I give her performance a thumbs up. That's all I'm going to say. She's a little strange that she's hitting on younger students or whatever, but, well, she really kind of works. I don't see her as discount Roz, like I said. She works out, she's funny, I get a few laughs, and she has some really solid one-liners. Now we're going to move on to the next characters, which that's about it for the main cast. There is also Freddy's firefighter group and etc. But we're going to talk about other characters that are callbacks. Now, let's talk about one of the characters who made a return who was definitely foreshadowed in the first couple episodes. Lilith Sternin, portrayed by Bebe Neuwirth. And I've got to say, her and Frasier still have that wonderful, excellent chemistry. You could tell she's aged, and she's aged quite well, but man, she has just pulled it off. She is incredible in this show. And one episode, her and Frasier still have it. They still have that beautiful chemistry. How they compete against each other, I absolutely love it. And how they still have those animalistic instincts for each other too. I don't want to spoil too much, but shit gets really real on Freddy's birthday, which is probably one of the best episodes of the entire show. Now, the other callback, Roz, which, spoilers, makes an appearance. Roz Doyle returns, and what do I gotta say about Perry Gilpin's performance? Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I was so happy to see Perry return, and she has aged like fine wine, I'm gonna say. Really fine wine. She still has that wonderful chemistry with Frasier, and she is incredibly well done with talking with the cast. It's like she never left playing Roz at all. I love seeing her on this show, and unfortunately we didn't get much screen time with her, but I think and I hope she's going to be a regular. And I feel like I'm missing a character. Oh yes, the real off-brand Niles. How did I do? David. Niles and Daphne's son. You know, that's pretty sad. I completely forgot about him. He's in the very back of my mind. And yes, this is technically off-brand Niles in a nutshell. He has his moments of being eccentric like his mom, but he is exactly like his dad. You know what? It's basically from the rib of Niles came David. And he has funny moments, and he can be strange and eccentric and etc. But there's not really a whole lot to say about him. He's not an exact Niles copy, but he definitely is a Niles copy. But what I will say is he doesn't dress like Niles. You don't see him in Armani suits or anything like that, but there's still a lot more to be desired with him. They even try to give him an arc where he's trying to get a girlfriend or he's kissing ass to Alan, and it kind of works. It can be kind of funny. He's basically the show's punching bag. And I do agree with most of the cast. He definitely needs to step up his game. I kind of enjoy him, but it just makes me miss David Hyde Pierce's Niles even more when I see him. So far, yeah, I'm just going to keep him at the very back here and hope in Season 2 he makes an improvement, and really hope in Season 2 Perry Gilpin becomes a regular. Honestly, as a whole, of all the characters and cast, it's kind of tough. There is definitely callbacks to the other ones with the new characters, and the old characters still have great chemistry, including Kelsey Grammer knocking it out of the park like always. So what will I say about the characters? I have hope. I have hope that they're going to really work with these guys in Season 2. Season 1 is a prototype, which every Season 1 of a show is a prototype. So I'm going to have honest hope that these new characters really get some excellent stories done. They have done really well with Alan and Olivia, but I'm going to really hope David and even Eve gets put out more, and honestly, maybe their performances will be improved. I'm holding it out. I'm begging for that to happen. But as a whole, the characters, you know, I'm not judging the originals, just the new. I'm going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. It hurts me to say it, but yeah, maybe in Season 2, if it gets a Season 2, they will improve. So I'm going to hold out hope for that. Let's move on to the settings and the music of the characters. You know, the settings and music of the show. And of course, what I think of it as a whole. Okay, now for the setting and of course, etc., I guess, of what I think of the show. Well, They set this one in Boston this time, which originally is where the parent show of Frasier is from, Cheers. They honestly do not make any callbacks to Cheers, honestly, except for, Lilith and Baby New Earth and etc. like that. They do make a few smug callbacks to Cheers. Frasier saying, I spent a little too much time in this bar and I wasn't who I really was. Yada, yada, yada. They mainly spend the show kind of doing the callbacks to Frasier 93, which honestly is something I don't really complain about. Other than some of the acting being off a little bit, the acting performances are great. The music, of course, is well done too. A lot of times it has its own soundtrack, and the title cards are done really well too. They definitely give you that old 90s Frasier vibe, and that is a good thing. The show does feel like a continuation of Frasier, more so than Frasier from Cheers. It definitely does. The callbacks are great too, especially when Frasier is talking about Martin and how emotional Kelsey Grammer himself gets when mentioning almost anything with John Mahoney. Speaking of John Mahoney, the bar itself that they stay at is called Mahoney's, a tribute to John Mahoney himself. Frasier, or Kelsey Grammer, the man he sees as his father. I really like that nice little touch. And of course, the baby that Eve and her beloved has is named John. Another tribute. There was also a firefighter on the show that is friends with Freddie, a dumb guy named Moose. They even make comments about Eddie too. So Moose was actually the Jack Russell's name that played, Eddie, obviously. So it's all kind of a nice little callback and little nods to the original show itself. Something that I find very interesting and very, very flattering. It definitely has its appeal of nostalgia to it. Then there are things that kind of ruin the show. The laugh track is really spreaded bad here. I mean, good God almighty, the laugh track. I mean, these people laugh at the drop of a hat. No, seriously, Frasier puts the hat on wrong or something, and you just hear these people exploding with laughter. It's like you could put on Home Alone 3 and this canned laughter. I think it's canned, I'm not sure. They would be laughing their ass off. And Home Alone 3 is not a funny movie. Home Alone 3 is garbage. And I'm pretty sure it's canned because they are really laughing hard at Eve's lines, who are just god freaking awful. Sorry, I know I already talked about the acting performances. I'm sorry. I'm hoping Eve improves. I'm hoping the actress gets better because I just cannot stand her. Anyhow, at least she's not Rachel Zegler bad. Anyhow, the laugh track is just sporadic and all over the damn place. I mean, seriously. These people laugh at nothing. They will laugh at a wall, for God's sake. They're gonna have to turn down the laugh track just a little bit. Of course, if you take the laugh track away, you are in a void of silence. And I get that. I know that sitcoms have to be quiet, so the laugh track, will have their pausing moments so they can laugh. But seriously, this laugh track is really sporadic. I mean, it's all over the damn place. As I was saying, the setting is nice too. I do like that it's in Boston, and we get to see more of Boston, but most of the time, we're either in Frasier's apartment, we're either at the Harvard School, or, most of all, we are at the bar at Mahoney's. And that's nice and all, but I want to see more of Boston. Cheers was able to show us more of Boston. Not just the bar, but we got to see quite a bit more. I do feel that the show's comedy in general is lacking in portions, but it's in the right place. And yeah, I do enjoy it. So I do like the setting, and I do hope we see more of Boston. In fact, the very last episode was fantastic. We got to see quite a bit, and we got to see just a little more. I love seeing more sections. Like in 93 Frasier, I seriously want to go to Seattle to check it out. We got to see big portions. We got to see the Space Needle, and we even got to see a talking Eddie with Kelsey Grammer's voice. Not the first time he's voiced a dog either. And it's just great how the original 93 Frasier was able to show us portions of Seattle, and not just Seattle. They showed us Boston. They showed us Canada even. Sure. And one of my favorite episodes of Frasier, the original, is Travels with Martin. We need episodes similar to that. Maybe Frasier and Freddie go on a trip. Maybe they could go to Canada. I would like to see more of Boston, though. Maybe there could be an episode where we see more of the setting outside of those certain locations that they go to. Kind of like How I Met Your Mother showed us many, many locations of New York, and they did it really well. See, I'm a big How I Met Your Mother fan, and since some of the writers are working on worked on How I Met Your Mother, they might be able to show us more exterior to Frasier. I want to see more, and I hope to see more. So the settings and locations right now, like I said before, every first season of a show is a prototype, and this is a prototype. I know we are going to see more. I hope we are going to see more locations than just the ones we're given. So settings, music, and the canned laughter, I'm probably going to rate it maybe a 7 out of 10. Now, Cheers and the original Frasier did it just right. They showed us the bar, but they showed us more around those towns. So I'm hoping they take notes from those sections of the show. And I want to see more. I want to see more of Boston. I mean, this could be a really interesting thing for more, new viewers that never watched Cheers or Frasier, in fact. You want to be able to go to these settings. You want to feel like, yeah, this feels like a welcoming state. I want to go and visit these places someday. Because watching Cheers made me want to go to Boston. Watching Frasier made me want to go to Seattle. I want to see both places. Anyhow, let's move on to my final thoughts of the show in general. So, my final thoughts of the show. Even though some of the performances are lacking and the story is kind of all over the place, I still think it's a show that people need to check out. Quit bad-mouthing it. Don't listen to the bad reviews or let somebody's political beliefs ruin a show for you. This is a decent show. And it's a lot better than the crap that's been coming on TV lately, like the new Doctor Who or the new whatever the hell comes out, like Miss Marvel or whatever the Marvels. I don't even know if that was a show. I'm thinking of She-Hulk, which was just a garbage show. But look at it from this point of view. The new Frasier, compared to what's been coming out lately, seems like a gold piece in a bucket of shit. So if you've been watching bad shows lately, or mainly you've been rewatching shows that were good, that had great glory, I mean, there have been good shows lately. Better Call Saul is good. I mean, there have been really good TV shows lately that isn't tainted by politics or just crap in general or whatever. Frasier is one of those shows. It's not tainted in politics. It's not, you've got to believe our way or no way. It's not dumbing down an audience. It's basically a show centered in nostalgia. Much like Cobra Kai itself, too. It is centered in nostalgia, but it does it in a very decent way. Excellent callbacks to the original Frasier. Not too many Cheers callbacks, which they could do a little better. I am hoping to see the Cheers cast come back for a couple of episodes. I'd love to see Sam again. I would love to see, other than just Lilith come back. I want to see Cliff Clavin. I mean, if you like John Ratzenberger, come on. I mean, the guy is fantastic, and he always has zingers. I would love to see Norm again. I would love to see some of the characters from Cheers. I'm a Cheers fanboy, as well as I am a Frasier fanboy, and even Diane would be nice to to see her again. But as a whole, right now, as the first season in general, I think it's solid. It's worth a watch. Even though there are some stinker episodes, there's maybe about 2 or 3 stinker episodes, it's still worth a watch. And you get to see Kelsey Grammer portraying Dr. Frasier Crane once more. It's worth it. And it does capture some of its funny as hell comedic tones later on. I mean, we get the Cranes trying to host a party, or the Crane trying to impress somebody and it going horribly, horribly wrong. It gets back to its roots, and I do enjoy that. As a whole, I'm probably going to rank the entire show, performances, settings, and the sporadic laugh track and everything, probably an even 7 out of 10. Meaning, I recommend it to people. If you love the original, you're gonna definitely like this show. Or if you love the original and find it perfect and doesn't think it needs to continue on afterwards, well, you're probably gonna hate this show. But as a Kelsey Grammer fanboy, which I am, unfortunately, I happen to look like him too, I think it's worth at least one viewing. Me, I've already watched it twice. What does that tell you? I really enjoy the show. And you guys seen me in my Frasier shirt, so obviously I am buying stuff for it. I hope the show gets to season 2, and I hope the other characters like Perry Gilpin and etc. come back and kind of stay as mainstays. I hope characters like Eve and David do improve. I really want them to improve. I want their acting to get better than just being one-note characters or bland. I want them to improve. This is what I want. So I'm going to give the entire show a 7 out of 10. Give it a watch if you haven't yet. It might impress you and might anger you, but it is something to watch. And it is nice to see Kelsey Grammer back at it again. Also, I hope to see David Hyde Pierce make at least a cameo. I hope to see Jane Leeves again. I miss these people. I love these people. I want the cast of Cheers to come back. So give it a watch if you haven't yet. It's definitely worth the time. And the episodes are short. There's only 10. It's a short season. Give it a view. Like I said, it's a prototype, but it may find its footing in the second season. And I do hope it does. I really enjoyed what I did get out of this. It's nice to see Frasier back again. Anyhow, that about does it for this video. Thank you all for checking it out. And that about wraps it up for Season 1 of 2023, obviously. What did I think? Well, I obviously really like this one quite a bit, and I do hope it continues. Like I said, I hope you guys check it out, and I plan to continue this on if it gets to Season 2. I'll post every time the season ends a little review of it, and it might not be as long. This one was a long review, and I apologize for that. I guess I had a lot to say, and I do apologize for all the insults for David and Eve, if you're fans of them, or if not, or whatever. It's still a good show. It's worth checking out, and you guys got to give it a shot if you're Frasier fans. If not, or if you didn't like it, then tell me why in the comments why you didn't like it. Should I keep continuing this on? Is there another show you guys want me to cover? Like I said, tell me in the comments, and always remember, I'm listening. Sayonara.
Hello, this is Corey Feldman. Welcome to my studio here in Los Angeles, California. And I just wanted to pop in to say congratulations to Tim. Mr. Tim, I hope everybody's enjoying your videos. He's got some great content, and if you're enjoying his content, make sure you click on that little button right there that says subscribe. Why? Because everything on his channel is Bossa Nova. That's right. Congratulations on your channel, Mr. Tim. I'll be following you, and I know everybody else will too.